Members of the National Assembly are resuming this afternoon following a long recess. And this day marks the beginning of the second session of this 13th Parliament. Top on the agenda or priority agenda that will be considered by the members of the National Assembly as the House resumes business today. There will be the 2023 Budget Policy Statement and the Debt Management Strategy 2023. There is also the consideration of supplementary budget estimates for the financial year 2022-2023 by the House. There is also the Budget and Appropriations Committee. Or rather, in the past week, we have seen the Budget and Appropriations Committee and departmental committees reviewing the supplementary estimates in consultation with ministries, departments, and agencies, and are expected to table their reports in the House for consideration. That is just part of what is expected to be on the top agenda for the House. But looking at the order of business for this particular sitting, which is the first sitting after members resume from the long recess, is that there is a motion on the appointment of members to the House Business Committee. This is a motion that is being moved by the leader of the majority party. And the leader of majority party will be seeking the House to consider a list of names of members that will be expected to form the House Business Committee. There is the Honorable Member Omboko Milemba. There is the Honorable Member Robert Mbui, Honorable Faith Wairimu Gitau, Honorable Samuel K. Chepkonga. There is Honorable Adan Welie Kainan. There is Honorable Tom Joseph Francis Kajwang. There is Honorable Sarah Paulata Korere. There is also Honorable Joshua Mbidhi Mwalo and Honorable Umul Ker Kasim Sheikh. This is a list that the majority party leader will be presenting before the House to consider these members as part of the members within the House Business Committee. Remember, House Business Committee is a committee that is sessional. Each session, there are new members that are appointed or selected to this committee. So this marks the first business for the sitting. Of course, the House Business Committee is the one that sets the agenda and the businesses that will be conducted or transacted in the House. So as you can see, the Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Moses Wetangula, has walked into the chambers. He will be overseeing this afternoon and first sitting of the second session. I will now hand you over for this particular broadcast brought to you by PBU in partnership with KBC. My name is Kamche Menza. Good afternoon.
Ewe Mwenyezi Mungu ambaye kwa hekima na wema wako umeteua nyadhifa za viongozi na mabunge kwa ustawi wa jamii na utawala wa haki wa wanadamu. Tukusihi utazame kwa neema nyingi sisi watumishi wako ambao umeridhika kutuita ili tutekeleze shughuli muhimu za jamhuri yetu. Tukuomba uteremshie baraka zako sisi tuliokutanika hapa na utujalie tuyatende na kufikiria mambo yote yatakayofikishwa mbele yetu kwa njia ya haki na uaminifu, ili utukufu na sifa zako ziendelezwe na ili kustawisha amani, ufanisi na heri ya nchi yetu na wale ambao haja zao umezikabidhi mikononi mwetu. Amen. Can you ring the quorum bell, Sergeant?
Well, Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Moses Wetangula, has directed that the quorum bell be rung for 10 minutes. Of course, this is according to the standing orders that allows the members or a bell be rung for members who are yet to get into the chambers at the beginning of the sitting, that there will be a quorum bell.
We now have quorum to transact business. Clerk.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Barrow Deco Mohammed.
Where are the members escorting the honorable member-elect? All the honorable members, we have a solemn act taking place now.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to introduce to you the member-elect for Garissa Township constituency, Barrow Deco Mohammed.
Yes.
I, Barrow Deco Mohammed, having been elected a member of the National Assembly, do swear in the name of the Almighty God that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the people and the Republic of Kenya, that I will obey, respect, uphold, preserve, protect, and defend this Constitution of the Republic of Kenya, that I will faithfully and conscientiously discharge the duties of a member of Parliament. So help me God.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And you can proceed and sign the oath of office.
Njuguna Chege.
Honorable Speaker, sir, I beg to introduce to you the member-elect for Kadara constituency, Njuguna Chege.
English or Swahili? English.
Chege, having been elected a member of the National Assembly, do swear in the name of the Almighty God that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the people and the Republic of Kenya, that I will obey, respect, uphold, preserve, protect, and defend this Constitution of the Republic of Kenya, and that I will faithfully and conscientiously discharge the duties of a member of Parliament. So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Speaker.
You may proceed and sign the oath of office. Next order.
Order number 2, communication from the chair.
Honorable members, I have a few short communications to make. First one on business that lapsed at the end of the first session and reconstitution of sessional committees. Honorable members, I take this opportunity to welcome you back for commencement of the second session of the 13th Parliament. It is my hope that after the well-deserved break, you are now fully rejuvenated and ready for the heavy duty and legislative agenda that lies ahead of us in this first part of the session. It is my hope that the induction workshops and the post-election seminars recently undertaken have been useful in enriching your parliamentary knowledge and understanding of the workings of committees and the House, thereby making you more effective legislators. Although the just concluded first session was short, I'm impressed that the House gelled, put in place structures, and laid the foundation necessary for seamless discharge of its constitutional mandate. Indeed, over that brief period, the House transacted various business, among them the consideration of various appointments to state offices, introduction and processing of bills, petitions, and individual members' motions, among other key businesses. Members, you can take your seats, and you take the nearest available seat. Mama Narok, the nearest available seat. Of note, honorable members, the House passed the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Amendment Bill 2022 on 1st December 2022. I wish to inform the House that during the recess, the Senate considered and passed the bill in the form passed by this House. The law was subsequently ascended to by His Excellency the President on 23rd January 2023 and is now in operation. Honorable members, it is my earnest expectation that the House will build on the gains made in the first session, rise to the occasion, and transact as much business as possible in the greater interest of the Kenyan people. I urge you to do this, especially in light of the priority business already before us in this part of the session, being the supplementary estimates for the financial year 2022-2023, the upcoming 2023 budget policy statement, and the medium-term debt management strategy. These and other budget-related matters will remain at the top of our agenda between now and June 2023. Honorable members, as we commence the second session, I wish to bring to the attention of the House that, going by the standing orders and practices of the House, certain business that was not dispensed with at the end of the last session has now lapsed. For greater clarity, the business that lapsed include all motions, requests for statements, and questions. To this end, any committee or individual member wishing to reintroduce lapsed business is advised to do so using the usual procedure. Members who may not be clear on the procedure are advised to visit the table office for assistance. I hasten to clarify that the lapsing of business does not apply to public petitions and bills, the consideration of which are resumed from the point at which they had reached at the end of the first session. Honorable members, I also wish to draw the attention of the House to the fact that the term of certain sessional committees has come to an end, and therefore they ought to be reconstituted. They include the Committee of Parliamentary Powers and Privileges and the Select Committee on Member Services and Facilities. The Committee on Selection is therefore urged to expedite the process of nominating members to serve in the said committees for approval by the House. Final honorable members, as we embark on the legislative agenda for the second session, I wish you success individually as members and collectively as the House. Thank you. Members, can you take the nearest available seat? Honorable members, my next communication relates to guidance on the consideration of the special motion on the appointment of a Parliamentary Service Commissioner who is not a Member of Parliament. Honorable members, this guide relates to the paper that will be laid by a member of the Parliamentary Service Commission, the Honorable Faith Gitau, but in her case she's not here. I've directed the Majority Leader to lay the paper on her behalf and the subsequent motion that will follow. The paper and the notice of motion relates to the proposed appointment of the Honorable Johnston Mudhama as a member of the Parliamentary Service Commission. Honorable members, Article 127(2)(d) of the Constitution provides for the appointment of two persons, being one man and one woman, from among persons who have experience in public affairs but are not members of Parliament to the Parliamentary Service Commission. The position of male non-member of the Parliamentary Service Commission fell vacant following the resignation of Commissioner Honorable Samuel Chepkonga for purposes of contesting an elective position in the general elections that took place on 9th August 2022. And the Honorable Samuel Chepkonga subsequently won and is a member of this House. Consequently, and in accordance with the provisions of Article 127 of the Constitution and Section 9 of the Parliamentary Service Act 2019, Parliament is required to appoint a person, a male, to fill the now vacant position. Honorable members, it's worth noting that unlike the usual procedure for consideration of nominees to serve in other statutory and constitutional bodies, where parliamentary committees participate in the appointment processes by way of vetting and approval appointment, in the case of the Parliamentary Service Commission, the appointment is by Parliament itself. Moreover, the House of Parliament have now established a practice that, save for the chairperson, all other members of the Commission are appointed by the House of Parliament. This implies that the recruitment process undertaken by the Commission serves the purpose of vetting the proposed nominee, and the person stands appointed once both houses approve the nomination. Honorable members, the House will therefore consider the special motion on the basis of the report that will be laid on the table of the House by the Majority Leader on behalf of the Commission and the attendant notice of motion. I call upon the House Business Committee to schedule the motion at the earliest opportunity for expeditious consideration by the House, acknowledging that the Senate will also consider the nominee so as to ensure that the Commission is fully constituted. The House is guided accordingly. Honorable members, take the nearest seat. Not yet. There's one more communication. No, communication. The last communication, honorable members, is on security arrangements within the precincts of Parliament. Honorable members, as you may be aware, there has been heightened security arrangements within the precincts of Parliament. The objective is to provide the necessary security and protection services to all members, staff, and visitors. The precincts of Parliament should at all times be a secure environment. Of note, honorable members, the security measures in place may lead to some discomfort and inconveniences. In this regard, I request all honorable members to accommodate the discomfort and cooperate with the agencies charged with the responsibility of providing security. Consequently, honorable members, I further request all members to reduce the number of visitors at any time and in all places, including at the restaurants. In addition, all staff are directed to put on their parliamentary identification badges at all times. Honorable members, in view of the above and due to the heightened security situation, I call upon all members to accord the necessary cooperation and support to officers from the Sergeant-at-Arms, Safety and Security Department of Parliament and the officer commanding Parliament Police Station, who are responsible for providing our security. These officers are also mandated to conduct stringent screening of members' vehicles before allowing access into the precincts of Parliament. The Sergeant-at-Arms, Safety and Security Department of Parliament, the officer commanding Parliamentary Police Station, the OCS, and other security agencies are instructed to enforce the security arrangements and measures at all times. I thank you. Honorable members, this will cause you some discomfort, but it's better to be uncomfortable than unsafe. I urge us to be able to cooperate with the agencies so that your presence in the presence of Parliament, your duty, your work, everything is safe in accordance with established procedures. Thank you.
Order number 3, messages.
Honorable members at the bar, take your seats. Honorable Mulyungi, take the nearest seat. Honorable members, I have 3 short messages. Honorable members, the first message is regarding certain proposals to amend the Constitution and the standing orders to actualize the aspiration of Kenyans. Honorable members, Standing Order 42.2 states, and I quote, "If a message is received from the President at a time when the House is not in session, the Speaker shall forthwith cause the message to be transmitted to every member and shall report the message to the House on the day of the House next sitting." In this regard, honorable members, I wish to report to the House that on 9th December 2022, I received a message from His Excellency the President regarding various proposals, including proposals to amend the Constitution and the standing orders through gender inclusion and affirmative action, establishment of the constituency development, Senate oversight and national government affirmative action funds, establishment of the office of the leader of the official opposition, and the strengthening of parliamentary oversight of the executive. In the message, honorable members, His Excellency the President notes the legislative endeavors to facilitate greater political participation by women, as well as the sustained increase in the number of elected women leaders in the current political formation. The situation, however, falls short of the minimum constitutional requirement and therefore necessitating deliberate action from all stakeholders. This would, for example, include amendment of the Constitution to provide for a formula to guide the computation of the gender ratio in the National Assembly based on the number of those elected from the constituencies in the case of the National Assembly and the counties. In the case of the Senate, in line with Articles 97(1)(a) and 98(1)(a) of the Constitution. Accordingly, honorable members, the message also conveys proposals to institutionalize the Constituents Development Fund, the Senate Oversight Fund, and the National Government Affirmative Action Fund, noting the great impact that such funds have had to the general good of the public. In order to ensure greater political inclusivity and promote effective checks and balances and sound institutional practices, His Excellency the President has proposed the establishment of the Office of the Leader of Official Opposition, noting that this would inculcate bipartisan symmetry between the majority and minority sides extends to its full logical extent. Honorable members, the message from the President also conveys a proposal for increased parliamentary oversight of the executive through the facilitating avenues for accountability through parliamentary business. Specifically, it is proposed that the rules of the House be aligned to allow cabinet secretaries to respond to questions raised by members on the floor of the House. This would enhance transparency and close the information gap between citizens and the government, and thereby enhancing public trust. Honorable members, in line with the resolution of the House of Wednesday, 12th October 2022, relating the consideration of certain business received during the recess periods, I did transmit this message to all members via my notification number 004 of 9th December 2022. I also referred the message to respective committees as follows. Honorable members, take your seats. The nearest available seat. The nearest available seat. The respective committees as follows. 1, the Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs to consider the message from His Excellency the President with respect to the implementation of the 2/3 gender rule and the establishment of the Office of the Leader of Official Opposition. 2, the Joint Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee on proposals to amend the Constitution to entrench certain specialized funds to consider the message from His Excellency the President with respect to the establishment of the Constituents Development, Senate Oversight, and National Government Affirmative Action Funds. 3, the Procedure and House Rules Committee to consider the message from His Excellency the President with respect to requests to consider amending the standing orders to strengthen parliamentary oversight of the executive. The committees are required to consider the message from the President, undertake necessary public participation as required under Article 118 of the Constitution, and submit their respective reports to the House for consideration. Noting the weight nature of the proposal contained in the message from the President, I urge the respective committees to hasten the consideration of the specified matters and report back to the House as soon as is practicable. Additionally, and pursuant to Standing Order 114(7)(a), I shall facilitate general debate on the message from His Excellency the President on the matters relating to amendment of the Constitution as part of the collation of views on the proposed changes. Indeed, honorable members, you will notice from the order paper, the general debate on these 3 matters is scheduled to commence Wednesday, 15th January 2023, subject to approval by the House Business Committee. Members who may have similar or related proposals are encouraged to make submissions at the appropriate time. I thank you. Honorable members, take the nearest available seats. The nearest available seats. Honorable members, the next message is also a message from His Excellency the President on nominees for appointment as members of the National Climate Change Council. Honorable members, Standing Order 42.1 relating to messages from the President provides as follows. The Speaker shall read to the House any message from the President delivered to the Speaker for communication to the House. In this regard, I wish to report to the House that I have received a message from His Excellency the President regarding nomination of persons for appointment as members of the National Climate Change Council. In the message, His Excellency the President conveys that in exercise of the powers conferred by Section 7 of the Climate Change Act 2016, he has nominated the following persons for appointment as members of the National Climate Change Council from the entities listed in subsection 2, paragraph F, G, H, and I of the Act, respectively. 1, Ms. Emily Mwende Waiter. 2, Mr. John Kioli. 3, Ms. Umra Omar. And 4, Dr. George Odera Outa. Honorable members, in accordance with Section 7.4 of the Climate Change Act 2016, as read together with Section 3 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act 2011, names of persons nominated for appointment as members of the National Climate Change Council under subsection 2, paragraphs F and G, H, and I are subject to approval of Parliament before appointment. Honorable members, I hasten to clarify that whereas parliamentary approval of public appointments generally falls within the province of the National Assembly, the approval of appointment of members of the Climate Change Council is among the exceptions that the applicable law prescribes as bicameral approval. Indeed, you may recall that in the 11th Parliament, this House, jointly with the Senate, vetted and approved appointments of the inaugural members of the Climate Change Council in 2016. For clarity, honorable members, the vetting process shall proceed as follows. That the vetting of the nominees proposed for appointment as members of the National Climate Change Council shall be conducted by the Departmental Committee on Environment, Forestry, and Mining of the National Assembly, jointly sitting with the relevant committee of the Senate. 2, the quorum of the joint sittings of the committees will be the respective quorums of each of the committees as stipulated in the standing orders of the respective houses. 3, that as contemplated under Rule 9.6 of the joint rules, unless a decision is reached by consensus, any vote to be taken in the joint sittings of the committees shall be by the separate houses. This will ensure that the numerical difference of the individual members representing the houses in the joint sittings has no effect on the decisions of the joint sittings of the committee. 4, that the joint committees shall, having conducted the vetting hearings, submit a joint report to the respective houses in the manner contemplated by paragraph 7 of the joint rule number 9. And 5, that the approval process shall be conducted in accordance with the provisions of Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act 2011. Honorable members, Section 8 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act 2011 provides that the committee to which nomination of appointments referred shall consider the matter and table a report in the House within 28 days from the date on which the notification of nomination is conveyed to the House. The Act also requires that the public be given 7 days notification for submission of views regarding the suitability or otherwise of nominees proposed for appointment to an office requiring approval of Parliament. In this regard, and in accordance with the provisions of Article 259(5)(a) of the Constitution as read together with Section 5 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act, the counting of the 7 days notification to the public shall start running on the day following the day on which the notice is published in the dailies. Honorable members, it is worth noting that Section 9 of the said law provides that, and I quote, If after the expiry of the period for consideration specified in Section 8, Parliament has neither approved nor rejected a nomination of a candidate, the candidate shall be deemed to have been approved. I therefore urge and advise the concerned committees to expeditiously proceed jointly notify the nominees and the public. Thereafter, the two committees should commence the joint approval hearings in earnest and table a joint report with the statutory timelines to enable the Houses of Parliament to consider the report within the said period. Honourable members, having guided the House, I now refer the message, together with the resumes of each nominee and letters of recommendation from the relevant bodies, to the Departmental Committee on Environment, Forestry and Mining of the National Assembly, sitting jointly with the Senate Standing Committee on Land, Environment and Natural Resources, or such other appropriate committee of the Senate for consideration. I also further instruct the clerk to coordinate with the clerk of the Senate so as to immediately facilitate the process of the statutory notification to the general public ahead of the first sitting of the joint committee. I thank you. Take your seats, honorable members, the nearest available seats. The last message, honorable members, a message from the President on nomination of a person for appointment as the Solicitor General of the Government of Kenya. Honorable members, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order number 42, I wish to report to the House that I have received a message from His Excellency the President regarding the nomination of a person for appointment as the Solicitor General of the Government of Kenya. In the message, His Excellency the President conveys that in the exercise of powers conferred by Section 9(1) of the Office of the Attorney General Act 2012, as read together with Section 3 and 5 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act 2011, the President has nominated the Honorable Shadrach John Mose for appointment as the Solicitor General, having received the report of the Public Service Commission on the recruitment of the Solicitor General. The President now seeks the approval of the nominee by the House. In accordance with the provision of Standing Order 45, I hereby refer the message from His Excellency the President together with the CV and the report of the Public Service Commission to the Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs for consideration. Honorable members, Section 8 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act 2012 provides that unless otherwise provided in law, the committee to which such nomination is referred shall consider the matter and table a report in the House within 28 days. In this regard, the committee is expected to immediately commence the approval process, notify the nominee and the general public of the time and place for holding the approval hearings, and thereafter, upon conclusion of the hearings, table its report on or before Thursday, March the 9th, 2023, to enable the House consider the matter within the statutory timelines. I thank you. Next order.
Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, as you had alluded to earlier, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Tuesday, February 14th, 2023. 1, report of the Parliamentary Service Commission on recruitment of a male member of the Parliamentary Service Commission under Article 127(2)(d) of the Constitution. B, a request of deployment of the Kenya Defence Forces in support of the National Police Service from the Ministry of Defence. C, the supplementary estimates 1 for the financial year 2022-2023 from the National Treasury. and Economic Planning, and the following accompanying documents. 1, financial year 2022-2023, supplementary estimates. Number 1, program-based budget. 2, financial year 2022-2023, supplementary estimates. Number 1, recurrent estimates, volume 1 and 2. 3, financial year 2022-2023, supplementary estimates. Number 1, development estimates, volume 1, 2, and 3. And 4, memorandum for the financial year 2022-2023, supplementary estimates. Number 1. D, the additional expenditures granted under Article 223 of the Constitution for the financial year 2022-2023 from the National Treasury and Economic Planning. E, legal notice number 219 of 2022 relating to the Public Finance Management Act, National Peace Support Operations Fund Regulations 2022, and the explanatory memorandum from the National Treasury and Economic Planning. Legal note F, legal notice number 1 of 2023 relating to the Merchant Shipping Act, Training and Certification Amendment Regulations 2022, and the explanatory memorandum from the Ministry of Mining, Blue Economy, and Maritime Affairs. G is a memorandum on ratification of defense cooperation agreement between the government of the Republic of Kenya and the government of the Republic of Seychelles from the Ministry of Defense. H, memorandum on ratification, acceptance, and accession of the Hague Conventions on Private International Law from the Ministry of Defense. I is a report of the Auditor General and financial statements in respect of the following institutions for the financial year ended 30th June 2022, and the certificates therein. 1, the National Assembly. 2, the Parliamentary Catering Scheme Fund. 3, Parliamentary Mortgage Scheme Fund. And 4, Parliamentary Car Loan Scheme Fund. J, and lastly, report of the Auditor General and financial statements for the national government ministries, departments, and agencies for the financial year 2020-2021 from the Office of the Auditor General. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, you're done, majority. Next.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Majority.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to give the following notice of motion on behalf of the Parliamentary Service Commission that, taking into consideration the recommendations of the Parliamentary Service Commission in its report on the recruitment of the Parliamentary Service Commissioner, who is not I of Parliament, laid on the table of the House today, Tuesday, February 14th, 2023, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 127(2)(d) of the Constitution, this House appoints the Honorable Johnson Muthama as a member of the Parliamentary Service Commission.
Thank you. Next order.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
Order number. Next.
Order number 8, motion, appointment of members to the House Business Committee.
Majority.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to move that, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 171(1)(f), this House approves the appointment of the following members to the House Business Committee, in addition to those specified under paragraph A, B, C, D, and E. Honorable Speaker, it's worth noting that those are the statutory ones, those in leadership, Honorable Speaker, just for notice of members. 1, the Honorable Omboko Milemba, MP. 2, the Honorable Robert Mbui, CBS MP. 3, the Honorable Faith Wairimu Getao, MP. 4, the Honorable Samuel K. Chepkonga, CBS MP. 5, the Honorable Adan Welia Keidan, CBS MP. 6, the Honorable Tom Joseph Francis Kajwang, MP. 7, the Honorable Sarah Paulata Korere, MP. 8, the Honorable Joshua Mbithi Mwalio, MP. And 9, the Honorable Umulkher Kasim Sheikh, MP. Honorable Speaker, I don't need to say much on this. This is the most important committee at this time of the year when you are beginning a new session. Members will notice, and I noticed one of our new members asking why we have to do this, and we are just appointed an HBC when the House was sworn in last year, Honorable Speaker. And these members is a sessional committee that has to be appointed at the beginning of every session of Parliament. And having concluded the last session in December last year, Honorable Speaker, we have, together with the minority leadership, agreed to maintain the same members for 2 reasons, Honorable Speaker. One, for institutional memory, and also to give these members, a number of them who are new members, an opportunity to get to at least transact business for another full session of Parliament. Because you remember the last session was slightly above 3 months. These members will now have at least the opportunity to serve for a whole session throughout the year, and they will have the opportunity to even be able to preside over the House Business Committee when we begin this session with very important business ahead of us in terms of budget making, the budget making process. Therefore, we'll afford, especially our new members, that opportunity to be able to engage and know what happens in a normal session of Parliament throughout the year, unlike last session that was almost quarter of a session or a third of a session. Honorable Speaker, we have therefore maintained the same members, both on the majority side and the minority side, and also representing members representing the small non-parliamentary parties. We have also maintained the same members in terms of the member representing our independent members. Honorable Speaker, I don't need to say much on that, but allow me, Honorable Speaker, to also take this opportunity to congratulate the 2 new members, the Honorable Shege from Kandara in Murang'a County, who comes in as a member for Kandara now, replacing the Cabinet Secretary for Water, Sanitation and Irrigation, and the Honorable Major Deco, who comes in to fit into very huge shoes of our Leader of Majority Emeritus, the Honorable Aden Bare Duale, who is now a Cabinet Secretary in charge of Defense. To congratulate those 2 members and welcome them to the National Assembly, and to ask them to take their time. I am sure, Honorable Speaker, with your indulgence, we're able to be accommodated during the retreat in the induction to committees, and we shall very soon, Honorable Speaker, be convening the selections committee to be able to accommodate these 2 new members into committees of the House so that they may now meaningfully engage in the business of legislation, oversight, and representing the great people of Kandara and those of Garissa Township. Honorable Speaker, with that, I beg to move, and I want to ask the Honorable Robert Mui to second the motion. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to second the motion of appointment of members to the House Business Committee. Mr. Speaker, this committee is critical and quite important in the management of affairs of the House, because basically this is a committee that decides on prioritization of bills and motions that come to the floor of the House. And I want to say that we shall ensure that we prioritize bills and motions for debate that are really, really important and touch on their lives and affect the people of this country. Mr. Speaker, allow me to say, as we prioritize the motions as going forward, that there are some things that are happening out there that, Mr. Speaker, I think it's important we figure out how to address them as a House, because it's part and parcel of what we must deal with. And you remember some time ago we had requested you to give a statement or to respond to the issue of how do we address matters of decisions that have effect of law, yet they circumvent Parliament. Mr. Speaker, as we are here, and you know that that is totally against Article 94, Part 5 of the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, as we are opening this session, the children of this Republic of Kenya, I want to sympathize with those that are in grade 7. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Education has been notorious for this business of continuously making law without coming to the House. And it is very unfortunate because the whole of CBC was formed without any regulations. Currently, Mr. Speaker, the JSS task force that was put up by the President, the report has never been discussed, but it is already being implemented. We must find a way, Mr. Speaker, as a House, to be able to defend the children of this country and make sure that we put in place systems that are going to help our children, because children are suffering. There are schools, Mr. Speaker, that were closed because they had few children. And then children taken to other schools, and now there's excess children in certain schools. And those that had few children, Mr. Speaker, are facing the possibility of closing down because, of course, schools get money out of capitation based on numbers. So, Mr. Speaker, as we continue with our business this session, some of these things are critical. We must find a way within our standing orders to see how can we hasten the process of getting decisions so that we can stop any rogue ministries from carrying out things that are affecting the people. With those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I want to second.
The honourable members, I beg to propose the question that pursuant to the provision of Standing Orders 171(1)F, this House approves the appointment of the following members to the House Business Committee in addition to those specified under paragraphs A, B, C, D, and E. 1. The Honourable Omboko Milemba MP, the Honourable Robert Mbui CBS MP, the Honourable Faith Wairimu Gitau MP, the Honourable Samuel K. Chepkonga CBS MP, the Honourable Adan Walie Keinan CBS MP, the Honourable Tom Joseph Francis Kajwang MP, the Honourable Sarah Paulata Korere MP, the Honourable Joshua Mbithi Mwali MP, the Honourable Umulher Kasim Sheikh MP. I see my screen with about 10 people. Wandai?
I can read the mood of the House quite correctly. But allow me to just say one or two things. Mr. Speaker, this is indeed a sessional committee that we are duty-bound to constitute every time we start a new session, such as this one. And as you might have noted, the two sides of the House have essentially retained the old membership in that very important committee. I do hope that, just like the Honorable Ichungwa has indicated, that we shall soon convene the Committee on Selection to address not only the interests of those new members who have joined us today, but also to do some reorganization so that we can have the House running more robustly, Mr. Speaker, in this very important session. You know, the second session of the House is very different from the first session. As you know, the first session is essentially dealing with housekeeping issues, but this session is so critical that we must put to rest the issue of committees and their placements. So we shall be seeking to have that committee meeting convened as quickly as possible, if possible this week or next week, Honorable Ichungwa, that we can dispense with this matter. Mr. Speaker, let me also add my voice to what Honorable Mbui has said. We need to take it upon ourselves as a House in this session to address those very critical issues that are of concern to the Kenyan common person. And one such issue is the matter of the CBC. As we speak, there is total chaos, total confusion, in fact, madness in our schools. It's as if there's no government in place. We need to, as a House, to assert ourselves, if not on anything else but on this matter. Because to play around with the future of our children is to commit communal suicide, Mr. Speaker. So I think this session must start on the right footing. Thank you. God bless.
Is it the mood of the House that we put the question? I now put the question, which is that pursuant to provision of Standing Order 171(1)F, This House approves the appointment of the following members to the House Business Committee, in addition to those specified under paragraphs A, B, C, D, and E. The Honorable Mboka Mlemba, MP, the Honorable Robert Mbui, CBS MP, the Honorable Faith Wairimu Gitau, MP, the Honorable Samuel K. Chepkonga, CBS MP, the Honorable Adan Walie Kainan, CBS MP, the Honorable Tom Joseph Francis Kajwang, MP, the Honorable Sarah Paulata Correra, MP, the Honorable Joshua Mbithi Mwali, MP, the Honorable Omulher Kasim Sheikh, MP. As members of that opinion say aye. Aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Order, honorable members. Honorable members, as you know, you've now just passed the House Business Committee that has to go and program the business of the House starting tomorrow morning. I therefore order all members who have been approved as members of the House Business Committee to proceed to the meeting room immediately at the rise of the House, and I now request you to be upstanding. Honorable members, the House now stands adjourned until tomorrow, Wednesday, the 15th of February, 2023 at 9:30 a.m.